And Ryan here. And was there something I was supposed to talk about today? Let me check. Charlotte was today. So yeah, I just got done watching the Charlotte 600 here on Memorial Day weekend. I don't know. I guess has to be called the best race of the weekend, which normally it's second to third on that list of best races of the weekend because Indy 500 is usually really good and didn't happen. What to say about this race? There was clean air. Kurt Busch leading. Kurt Busch got the pole. There was Bowman. Clean air. Tires. Left side tires not wearing as enough. Yeah. Is that enough for all you guys? Do I need to say any more? Okay. I'll go in depth on some of those points because, yeah, this race definitely was one where I feel like you could easily have lost a lot of the not so hardcore racing fans. Definitely, for one of the first races back, having a 600 miler, not necessarily ideal, even though it's one of the ones that all the core fans I feel like would have sat down and at least been somewhat interested in and stayed through an hour and a half rain delay, which props to NASCAR. That was one of the shortest weather delays I think I can remember in recent memory. So, outstanding job. Yeah, great job on getting this race in and getting it done. And getting that rain delay dealt with so that we didn't have a replay of 2017 where I think the race time from when the green flag was originally dropped to the checkered flag, including the red flag period being about 6.5 hours. This race was done in what felt like from the drop of the green flag, I think it was close to like 5.5 hours, so an hour and a half rain delay in there as well. The race was very quick. I mean, it was a very quick pace, very few yellows. Trying to think of all the yellows for contact. There was cautions for contact. We had Bowyer at the end of the first stage. Then I don't think we had another one until Bubba, maybe. I think Bubba's incident where he broke a hub might have brought out a caution. Then Matt Kenseth had his issue, which I think I think they attributed to a blown tire. And then we had the one right at the end with. Then we had two right actually towards the end with Byron and I don't remember what the first caution was for that initiated the run to the end. But we had two cautions towards the end of this race as well. So, fairly quick race. Low caution count. 4 mandatory yellow flags. The competition caution, at least this time, it was more justified because you weren't going to have a guaranteed chance to check tire wear or any of those other factors until lap 100 otherwise. Granted, the rain came at lap 50, and other cautions could always make that less. But really, so I think lap 25 for a competition caution, in this case where they had zero practice, and we saw incidents in qualifying in particular, I can understand doing that because we did have regular qualifying. Kurt Busch did get the pole award. Good job for Kurt. Maybe wear your 2020 fire suit next time. But that's neither here nor there. Kurt Busch didn't wear his 2019 fire suit. But yeah, and when that's one of the more interesting topics of the race, you guys can tell kind of how the majority of this race felt. I would definitely say, looking at the stage cautions, for the most part, I've been on their side. For the most part, because it does reward being good throughout the race, and it does play up the advantage of this package, which is very exciting restarts. but it does also devalue when you have a caution coming out at the end of the stage to not just take it easy and not crash, right? Jimmie Johnson, take it easy and not crash at the end of the stage when you don't have to worry because your entire lead's gonna be non-existent at the end of the stage. But don't worry, we'll be talking about Jimmie Johnson in a not so positive light again later, unfortunately. I wish we were talking about something positive with him because it was almost positive. But yeah, so the stage cautions, I would look at, for the Charlotte 600, it's really kind of a torn one because I feel like that one was the only one that really needed 4 stages. But I personally like having at least some longer stages, so maybe doing it where it's 150 laps, and then the final 100 laps, or I guess maybe doing it the other way, 100 laps, and then the final 200 laps, kind of like Richmond does it. Now, that would be a long time for one stage, but it also would lead to kind of a more traditional style race. Having it be the first half is your 2 stages, and then the third stage is your entire second half of the race almost. I felt like that was the way the stages were best. I don't know if trying that in the 600 would be a good thing or not, but it just kind of felt like, in particular, that stage 2 caution just kind of cost Bowman a ton. But, is how it is, and can't really do much about it. So, at least without really overhauling the way restarts work, or just going to single file restarts, which I know is not a popular opinion, and personally I don't think it, unless you go to something like Darlington, like the super one lane tracks, I don't feel like there's many places that really need the 1 lane restarts. So yeah, so let's get down to the part of this race that actually mattered. Overtime. I don't feel like we really need green or white checkers either. I like that it was exciting today, and it is definitely provides some excitement. And tonight was definitely a good one. I don't necessarily feel like we need them. I'd much rather see them just give it to the guy that was successful rather than letting a pit call here, because regardless of what Chase Elliott did there on the final caution, he was going to be in trouble. If he pitted, when he pitted, the guys behind him stayed out. When he didn't, and if he hadn't pit, everybody else behind him would have been in getting 4 tires, and then he would have been swamped on the restart. So there really wasn't a win-win scenario there, unless you can convince one other person to stay out with you, essentially, to try and get someone else to play the roadblock with you so that you can hopefully at least maintain it and take advantage of that clean air that was such a big factor. But in the end, you weren't going to find someone who was willing with 2 laps to go to stay out when you were to help someone else's strategy call. I mean, there really wasn't anybody that was going to do that. So 2-lap restart. Chase Elliott came to pit road. He ended up getting all the way back up to 3rd, which was amazing. Over his radio, actually, when the caution came out. Let's just say he made, I don't know it for sure because I haven't seen Radioactive yet. I'm recording this the night of. It's about 12:30 in the morning. And I'm just going to say it. He probably made Radioactive this week with his, what he ended up saying. So, in the end, the rain delay was actually pretty nice. It was better than most rain delays, but still feel like it washed away a lot of the casual sports fans that were just there to see if Chase Elliott would go and retaliate against Kyle Busch. And to be honest, if that didn't, the 100-lap green flag run, flag to flag for stage 2, definitely would have washed away most of the most casual or non-racing fans that were checking out the sport just because there was nothing else on. So But the final 2-lap restart, you had Jimmie Johnson, 101 race winless streak. Um, and then you had the Miller Lite car of Brad Keselowski. Miller Lite, their only sponsored race this year. Who knows what they're going to be doing next year. I feel like it'll either be a complete pullout if Keselowski isn't there. And if Keselowski is there, I think they'll sign another 1-year deal, possibly. Maybe they expand back to 2 for Darlington to do to continue with some of the throwback schemes, but I think more than likely they're probably gone because I think Keselowski's more than likely gone at the end of the season. From that team, I don't think he's gone from the sport. I think he'll find a landing spot. I don't know where it'll be exactly, but let's just say one of the guys that almost beat him in the race might be a landing spot. But in the end, Brad Keselowski and Miller Lite did end up going to victory lane in their only race together for this season. We got to see the American flag and the burnout for Memorial Day, which is awesome. Brad Keselowski's first Coke 600, and I believe it might be Roger Penske's first. Don't quote me on that one. I'm not sure, but I think it might be Roger Penske's first Coke 600 win as well as an owner. So, as super accustomed to winning on Memorial Day, he wasn't able to do it in Indy, but he definitely won it today. So, he definitely won on Memorial Day, well, yeah, he did win on Memorial Day because the race ended after midnight. So, Brad Keselowski over Jimmie Johnson, Chase Elliott finishing a painstaking third after such a dominant week from Chase Elliott, where he looked like he was going to win Darlington. Kyle Busch misjudges the gap, and the result happens. Death threats on Twitter to Kyle Busch, and then we get from Darlington to Charlotte. Chase Elliott in position. Caution flag comes out for William Byron. And I saw some people on Twitter saying that William Byron needs to be fired for the caution coming out. It was a tire going down, guys. Byron doesn't need to get fired for his tire going down. Now, maybe the guys who weren't able to pull the sheet metal away, because I think they saw a tire rub on the caution before, or whatnot, but it was not Byron's fault that he had a tire go down. Certainly. So, but yeah, in the end though, major factors from this is I would maybe look at don't apply the traction compound because I felt like it really made the beginning of this race take a while to get going. So maybe look at the traction compound because that's another thing I didn't really talk about too much. But traction compound, the PJ1, absolutely saved Pocono's second date when it was in the higher groove. But with the high banking at Charlotte, it's already a multi-groove track. It didn't need the PJ1. And I don't know if they applied it last year or not, but that very well could be a difference from last year. Either go back to the old left side tires or do something with the tire compound to make the left side tires in particular wear enough to where you may actually, where 2 tires isn't the only choice pretty much throughout the race, unless you just did 2 tires. Third, I would definitely look at trying to eliminate the clean air, so potentially looking at the height of the spoiler for next year on some of the 1.5 ovals. Now, I would say with one more year of this package, I would say maybe experiment with a meet in the middle, like a 6 to 7 inch spoiler. Don't go the full 10 inches that we have this year, but don't go straight back to what we had before either. I'm not saying to go right back to it. I say experiment around, see what works, see what doesn't work. Maybe leave it at 10 inches and just try going back on some of those other changes I mentioned to see if that can fit, if that's the only thing that really changed it. Because it was a pretty good race last year, all things considered, even though Truex dominated. And passing was still somewhat difficult, but it didn't feel like it was nearly as long or drawn out as or as tonight's race was. But yeah, so that was my thoughts from the Charlotte 600. We've got a 500-kilometer race there in a few days, so hopefully this race doesn't become a 600-kilometer race, because while the Coke 600 is long, that's the point. It's supposed to be an endurance race. The whole reason it was made a 600 in the first place was to be longer than Indy, since it was going to be on the same day as Indy. And I think switching it over to 600 kilometers, which would translate out to about 400 miles, I mean, you can. I don't think that's the right choice, even for the marketing, to keep it as the 600. I think 600 miles is better, in this case at least. Now, sure, with maybe not Kansas, one of Kansas's races, or maybe knock them both down to 300, 250-mile races at Kansas, or some of those other tracks like Kentucky. Maybe Kentucky only needs a 350-mile event, for example. Cut it down by a few laps. Try and make the finish come a little quicker. And I'm saying, if you want to, maybe market them all. Maybe market some of those shorter races as 500-kilometer events, like the Kentucky 500 at Kentucky Speedway. 500 kilometers, though, not miles. But for the Charlotte 600, it should be 600 miles. But you're just going to leave you guys on this one thing. Clean air was key tonight. But I do blame it a little bit more on how easy it was to steal track position with those two tires and how low risk they were. So I just got up after recording the last segment of this one. I'm probably going to splice this in towards the end of the video right before the outro. But this is me from the future. It's about 5 a.m. in the morning, and I just woke up and found out that Jimmie Johnson has been penalized. He did not pass post-race tech. Keselowski did. He is officially the race winner. Chase Elliott finishes a painful second place. Man, talk about another race that should have gone his way and didn't. I don't feel like I touched on that enough, but yeah, this clip here is mainly just being spliced in to talk about Jimmie Johnson. He got his second place finish taken away, and in its place we'll move Chase Elliott up to second, Blaney up to third, and yeah, rough day for Hendrick. But yeah, so back to your normally scheduled video. Thank you guys all for watching this video. Remember to hit the like button if you liked the video, regardless of how you guys felt about the race. And remember to also subscribe if you guys enjoy the content so that you guys never miss an episode. And that's all from me. Have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video, stream, or whatever you guys decide to do with the rest of your day / night / whenever I get this uploaded. So have a great night, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!